It was in my blood. We were going to survive. Whatever that looks like, we were going to survive. And I knew that I had a gift that I could take anywhere and start from scratch. Start low, do a couple, send them out the door, more will come. And that was always my thing in my heart and my mind. I'm like, it's okay because more will come.
You're listening to the Black Directory podcast, where we focus on bringing Black entrepreneur experiences to the forefront. Each week, we will discuss the highs, the lows, and everything in between. I'm your host, Diamond Young. Let's dive in. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Black Directory podcast. I'm your host, Diamond Young, and we are here with another episode. Today, I'm so excited because I have a special guest on. If you have been listening to this show since day one, you're going to know who this person is. She was on the very first episode, and she actually was interviewing me, which was so much fun. And this special guest is Tricia B, aka my mom. Welcome to the show.
Woo!
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've been wanting to get you back up here for a while. So I'm definitely, just excited to have you here. I think that it's always, a good time to do stuff like this together. It's always going to be natural and free flowing. And, it's always cool, of course, for me to interview someone that I'm familiar with. So I'm definitely happy to have you back on.
Thank you. I am so nervous and I don't know why. Really, it's only Diamond. It's only Diamond.
No, I get it. I think once we get going, you won't be as nervous. Just think of it as like when we talk on the phone, and we're just talking naturally. We're going to have a good time. I definitely got some kind of topics, I guess you could say today. I think it'll be fine. So it's just me and you. And we had so much fun the last time.
Yes,
right?
we did. And I'm telling you, it never ceased to amaze me how far you've come. I remember that very, very first interview, that first podcast. And I mean, it's crazy how far you are today. It's been a blessing and it's been amazing to watch and exciting to watch.
Yeah. No, it has been exciting. And again, I think it was cool doing that first episode with you. I was so nervous, didn't know what was going on. Definitely, I'm a self-taught person. So everything that I've learned so far is just trial and error. And I'm always just appreciative of everyone that just the patience or everyone helping out in any way they could. So I'm definitely happy and appreciative. And it is cool to reflect and see oh, wow, I'm really doing podcasting. I remember when it was just an idea and then now we're
absolutely. We're deep in it.
I know. So everyone, today, we're going to just really be having a cool conversation. My mom has been an entrepreneur pretty much my whole life. And she was in the hair industry doing, cosmetology. And she was just that bomb hairstylist. Everywhere we moved, I stayed in the salon every week. I did not have to wash my own hair. I didn't think about my own hair. She just had it covered along with so many others. And I always felt like she just had a really good perspective on entrepreneurship. I feel like my immediate family in general are mostly entrepreneurs. But she's also, worked as well on that corporate side. So I think she has the lens of both sides, but she's been an entrepreneur, I believe, for longer, for sure. So something that we were talking about before, and we were like, oh, wow, this would be a good show, is really having an episode that's all about, well, I guess mompreneurs / single mompreneurs, because there's slightly a difference. Both are moms, but some just don't really have that help and support of, husband, boyfriend, partner. And then you have those moms that, they may have that, but they're still a mom that's putting in that work. We just thought wow, there are so many layers to that. I think we hear about it more and more. And of course we see it, but it's the layers. It's definitely a lot of layers to what does it mean to really be a mompreneur? Does it really take a village? Can you do it on your own? So some of this will be, of course, opinion sharing and perspective mixed with some of her own, experiences and her just kind of walking us through what it was like for her. Like, of course, I have my perspective being a young child and seeing it, but of course, I'm sure there's things that I don't even know that was going on. So yeah, that's what we're going to be talking about. So Mom,
Yeah.
I want to know what it was like for you. Like, did you know entrepreneurship was something that you wanted to do? And yeah, I just want to kind of you to walk us through your story and how you knew like, oh, wow, I think I want to work for
Yeah.
myself.
Completely honest, I think that I knew more than anything I wanted more. I don't believe at the time I thought of it as I'm going to be this great entrepreneur. I want my path to be 100% self-employment or anything like that because I was so young. And at the time, if you consider, we really didn't have social media. So you didn't have a lot of everyone, talking about boss this, boss that, entrepreneur, and things of that nature. But when you come up in a time where I'm not going to say you don't have a lot of things, but a lot of things you did not have, point blank. And I just knew I wanted more. But I can honestly say what drove me more than anything is I had passion. I had passion. I always loved to do hair from a child in high school, junior high. And what a lot of people did not know is that my mother, your grandmother, mommy went to school for cosmetology. So she went to school for cosmetology, and I remember helping her study. So she would have me to read out the questions, and teaching her, I was also teaching myself, because anyone that went to school for
Mm.
cosmetology knows is far more than standing behind a chair, just doing the hair part. There's a lot of written, there's a lot of science to it. And so I would help her study. And I think that was the beginning. And I didn't even know it was the beginning. And then as some audience may know, a lot of them may not, but being that I had a sister who was special needs, a lot of times I would have to do her hair. So at that time, I didn't see, the benefit. And there may have been times I'm like, I don't want to do her hair. Like, why I got to do, why I got to do her hair or whatever. But at the end of the day, it all served a purpose, helping my mother study, doing my special needs sister hair. It all played a part, in which a lot of times in life, there are certain things, certain parts that you do not understand at that time, and you don't know how they will factor in your life. But I think it all, played a part. And again, I did hair in high school. So I can honestly say that I was definitely passion driven. I was lucky. I was blessed to start my career in things, in that thing that I wanted to do. Even in high school, when we had to say what we wanted to be when we grew up, what we wanted to do, I always wanted to do hair. I always wanted to do hair. And so I always say that I started off illegal. That's funny. And people that do hair know what that means. But, because I was a kid just doing hair on the side, making a couple of bucks. And so I was more so passion driven than financially driven, if that makes sense.
Okay. So, we kind of talked about kind of the introduction to entrepreneurship, but for you, do you feel like you had a village? Like, I think we always hear that saying, like, oh, it takes a village, it takes a village. How true do you think that is? And for you, is that something that you...
Absolutely. I feel I did have a village, and a village comes in many forms. It comes through many people. I feel like there were definitely people who I can count on as my village, whether it was neighbors, friends, relatives. Yeah, I positively did. And I think it takes that. I think it takes parents communicating with their coworkers, with their loved ones, just, to fill in those voids and those gaps. I used to have a client, I never forget, who, just so you can have an example of just a small detail. I remember being at work, and I remember one of my clients, which was also a neighbor at the time, And she would always drop little things off at the house for me. If mommy wasn't feeling well, she would take medicine over there or make sure I had breakfast. And I think all those things count. I think people sometimes don't understand when you say village, it's the whole environment. It's everyone around you that plays a part in this system running smoothly. When I say system, I'm talking about when your children have to play football or sports, or if they have to be here. It's that bridge that we develop or that we create to help one another. And I definitely had that, and especially in Ohio. I have to honestly say, Ohio was one of those places that I was surrounded by. I was a single mother. I had single mothers that lived around me, and we really helped each other out. I talk about that all the time because I think right now a lot of people are stuck in that me, myself, and I, and I'm doing it by myself, and almost like a bragging right more so than anything else. And I can honestly say that we took care of each other. I can't really just sit and act like I did this. I had a cape on my back, and yes, there were times that I did it alone, but I consider every part, whether I'm knocking next door to Miss Brenda's house and say, hey, Brenda, I'm Gary running to the store. Can you keep an eye on my children? Or I'm going to be working late. Can you just make sure thus and so? And we had that. We definitely had a team. Even getting advice from your older generations. I got a lot of great advice. There were a lot of older women that I talked to, and I always felt like that was healthy. Speaking to someone who's been down your path and understood what it was to be a single parent and just trying to make it.
And I also want to just provide more context and add a little bit of color. Can you tell everyone at the point of time when you were in Ohio, or I guess like more so, they probably don't know how many kids you have, what age you were when you had kids, how old you were when you went to Ohio. I think that'll add a little bit more like painting the circumstance.
Yes, for sure. I have 2 sons, 1 daughter, of course, Diamond. And I was definitely a young mom. I would say I was a teenage mother because I consider 18, 19, teen is still on the end of that number. So I was definitely super young when I started having children. I was 18 when I had my first child. I was 19 when I had my second child, my second son, and I was, I believe, 21 when I had Diamond, if I'm not mistaken. And so, yeah, by my early 20s, I was already a full-time mom. I was really a full-time mom and learning. And I talk to my children about that all the time. I always say, I grew up with you. And I think that's something that more parents can be very realistic about. I did the best I could. I learned along the way. And I can honestly say I hustled, I didn't feel sorry for myself. I was, I believe, divorced. I did get married when I was about 22, 23, and that lasted for a little while. So when I eventually went to Ohio, I was actually going through a divorce. Which started toward the end of my, I know I'm jumping around a little bit. I'm trying to catch everybody up. It's so much. I think I never really sat and put it in a format, which is so funny. But I got married super, super young. And I can honestly say it was a learning experience. It was a learning experience. But I was on the tail end of divorce, just finishing hair school, all at the same time. And I now had 3 children. And so that's pretty much the color picture.
That's a book right there, girl.
Just
that's
imagine.
That's it.
Imagine. And even today, when I look at the pictures, I'm like, wow, I was such a baby. I look at my face and I see how young I was. And it's amazing how when you're younger, you feel so grown. You feel so like I'm such an adult. And you realize that you were just a baby and you ain't no squat. You was just trying to put the pieces together. And that's me. I got to keep it 100. I just, I was really trying to find find my way.
No, and again, I think that's so important, just of course for bringing people along, but that's what makes the story unique. You know what I'm saying? Everyone has their own kind of story. And it's like, hey, my first kid was at 18. I had to figure out what I was going to do, where we were going to live. How do I feed my family? How do I still operate in my passion as well? And moving, at the end of the day, it's like when all your family's in one state, like everyone's in North Carolina or wherever they were, and then to move to Ohio, that's a big deal too, because it's like, okay, you have these young kids, you're still young, and you're going to a place where there really wasn't family. You have to make a new family, and you're still in a career that's new as well. And even if you have people that are like, oh, let me, go get you guys some food and do this, it's a trust thing too, really, because it's like, I don't know any of you people. So let's talk about that.
It's so crazy and ironic. Just like looking back on it, I really had some guts, and I want to. And I'm not saying that in a cocky manner. I'm not saying that, and I really took a lot of chances. Like right now, being in my super adult mind, I'll call it that. Half the things I did then, I probably wouldn't do now, because now I'm too aware. I would be too panicked, like, how's this going to work? How's that going to work? Back then I'll be like, hey, let's get in the car, pack all your bags. And I knew that no matter where I went, I had a gift. And I never thought twice about it that I could not survive. I just knew I had that much confidence in my gift, not in myself, but in my gift. And if I didn't know anything else, I knew how to do hair. And so we left North Carolina, and I remember I did not have much. I had like a box spring and a mattress and a rail and a little bitty little ugly TV and the bare minimum and some change. I'll never forget, I had a change jar, because I remember going through the toll booth and having to climb to the back of the U-Haul truck to get the change. I know it sounds weird now, but it's like, oh my God, I was on one. But I always had confidence in my gift, and I always had a hustle. I don't know. It was just in my blood. It was in my blood. We were going to survive. Whatever that looks like, we were going to survive. And I knew that I had a gift, that God had given me a gift that I could take anywhere and start from scratch. If I could just do one or two heads, give the world some examples, just, start low, do a couple, send them out the door, more will come. And that was always my thing in my heart and my mind. I'm like, it's okay, because more will come. And, so I thank God all the time for that gift, that bread and butter, and that desire to succeed. There's no excuse for failure. And your grandmother told me that one year, and I just never, ever, ever, ever forgot it. It just, something about that quote just stung me, like there's no excuse for failure. And it just always stayed with me.
Was there ever a time, you talked about how you had like high confidence within your gift. Was there ever a moment where you felt like your confidence was broken? To where it's like, I don't know. Or that's the thing too. That's what's interesting about life. Sometimes you have moments where your confidence with your gift is consistent, but you may not have confidence within yourself or just what's going on around you. And it's really hard to stay the course when things may be falling apart around you, right? Like your gift is consistent, but it's like life is just like a roller coaster where it's like, oh my God.
Let me tell you, I know this is a little bit forward in time. I believe the hardest time that I had trying to stay afloat in doing hair in my profession is during the season when so much was going on with mommy's health, and she was really going into that dementia state. And I don't know if you remember, but I had not too long prior to that bought my first salon. So all that ran together. So I had her situation of going through the dementia, and then, I had Amanda, I had Shell, I had so much going on in that's one time in life that I felt like I couldn't see. I could not see. I was overwhelmed. I was discombobulated. I just had so much going on in my life. And it was like I was trying to handle my home, mommy's home, and the salon all at the same time. And I put so much blood, sweat, and tears into the salon. I mean, I went in there and I remodeled, and I had people who had helped me paint floors, furniture. I redid it all. And I don't believe I was in there not even a couple years, because I was just so mentally drained as well as physically wore out with everything that was going on. It was trying to juggle that household, my household, and that business. And the easiest thing to drop was the business. Although I kept doing hair, the business itself, and I know that if that had happened at a different time, at a different season in my life, or if I didn't have those things going on in my life, I know that the salon could have been super successful and I would probably still be there today. And I think it would have definitely saw longevity. And I don't know if that was the right thing at that time, just to let go, but I didn't have enough in me at the time to fight for it. I was fighting for so many other things that I did not have the energy to save the physical building, And again, I speak about the gift. The gift is always with me. So I took the gift, but I left the building. And so that was a disappointment.
That had to be such a hard thing. Like, I don't know. And I don't know, it just makes me think about sometimes you're just like, what am I supposed to be doing? Because it's like you could see so clearly, I have this building, we all have our own goals. And you finally get it, but it feels like the timing isn't right. And I know it had to be so hard to let that go. Like, yes, it's just a building, because you're going to have people around you like, it's okay. You can always get another one. You got to take care of your family. But I don't think that made it easy at all to just be like, okay, because we do get attached to things, right? It's like, okay, well, I worked hard on that building. I decorated it. I put my, personality in it and all that stuff. Yeah. Why do you think, or have you ever questioned, like, why is this happening to me? Like, come on, like, because a lot of stuff, of course, we're not talking about right now, but it's like, why though? Like, why give me this gift, but put a cap on it? It almost feels like it's a cap on it. And it's like, why? Like, I'm sure you've asked yourself that like so many times.
I can't say that there are times you wonder where you could have been, would have been, how things would be different. And I understand the course of why things had to go the way they did. I can't say that I've actually sat and thought about it a long time, because remember, I had so much on my plate that I really didn't even get to sit and marinate in it. And, like so many other things in life, sometimes you have to keep going at that point and then come back and get the therapy behind it,
Yeah.
But, and, in all actuality, I knew what I was going through was so very crucial and overwhelming. And I also knew that this too shall pass. A lot of things that you go through in life are for a season. And then one day that season will be over. And then, whatever that course is and whatever that will is and whatever I'm supposed to be doing and why this path went this way, I think I'm still learning that. But yeah, that was one of those times that I truly was like, what in the world, because who doesn't want to? I think that's pretty much almost everybody's dream as a stylist is to one day own their own salon. Yep. And all I could say was I did it. At the end of the day, no matter what come or what goes, I did it.
Like, take that away from you?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Yeah.
That was like your lowest low. Like, I want to know, what was your lowest low to where it's like, I don't know if I could come back from this? And it may be on the career side or the personal side, because I think sometimes the two, they do impact each other. Like what you're saying, what's happening in your personal life can kind of go and fall over into your career, or vice versa, right? So what would you say has been like one of those lowest low moments where you're like, this is it, or I don't know if I can really come back from this. I don't know if I can get back on track.
I would have to say after Shell passed. which those that don't know, that's my niece. Yeah, that's my niece. That's actually my sister's daughter who, happened to have that child out of a very, I don't even know what to describe it, but yeah, she was taken advantage of, and Shell was the result of her being taken advantage of. So my mom raised my niece, and my niece was like my other daughter. And that was the one thing she actually, we thought that she had, we kept taking her to the doctor. She started losing a lot of weight, lots of weight. And we didn't quite know. I didn't know what was wrong with her. And in the process of going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth to the doctor, and on that last visit to the hospital, they had to do emergency surgery. And she was 19. She was 19 at the time. And with that emergency surgery, they discovered that she had cancer. She was full of cancer. They opened her up and she just had stuff everywhere. And I believe, and by that time, my mother had already kind of lost her mental, dementia, Alzheimer's. She was, in another place. And then I had my sister who was special needs, and I had my niece, who's my sister's child, who had a disability also. And then all of a sudden, we're going through this unexpected whirlwind. And to make a long story short, within just, I would say, a month or a few weeks, Shell passed.
It was really quick.
And I didn't see it coming. And that right there, I would say almost wiped me out. And then having to function, having to go back to work and do hair. And I would even have people still asking, hey, how is your niece doing? Is she any better? And then I would just fall apart in the salon. And that was probably my lowest moment, not knowing how to survive that, keep moving, keep taking care of mommy, keep taking care of Amanda, being this single parent. Then I still had my responsibilities at home, and it felt like the world just crashed all around me. And I can honestly say, if I didn't have children, I would probably got in my car and rode away and then back.
Bye.
I'm serious. Like, sometimes, bye. It's times in life where you just want to pack your bag and be like, you know what, Jesus, you know what, you got it. I don't know what you got going on, but I gotta go. And that was just one of those times. Like, yeah, that was definitely a deep one. That was definitely a blow. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there, but different age, but I was there, and it was something that happened really fast. But I always tell people, like, I think my mom is the strongest person that I know.
Oh.
Because this wasn't a 1 year, like a bad 1 year or a bad 3 years or 5 years. Like, it was like an ongoing kind of thing where once we came, transition from Ohio to North Carolina, it's like a button was pushed.
Yes.
Everything started, like different levels started activating.
Yes.
And you really transition into, it's one thing to be a mom, but it's another thing to be a caregiver.
Absolutely.
So when you're a mom, a caregiver, and an entrepreneur, oh my gosh, I wouldn't have any creativity left to give. I would be so defeated, because you're raising children, single mom. So that alone is already a lot. Yeah. And once you become a caregiver, and not a caregiver for one person, let's just make this clear.
Oh my God.
A caregiver for 3 people.
Speak, daughter.
Until Shell died, then it was 2 people. And then on top of that, it's like you have, being a caregiver for, people that are special needs. But it's I don't care what anyone says, it's a totally different thing to be a caregiver for someone that's losing their memory.
Yes.
Because you have to have the emotional capacity for that.
Yeah.
As far as wow, this is my mom. She doesn't remember my name. She doesn't remember how to speak and use the bathroom. It's so, and that went on for years.
Yeah.
So it's really like a whole long season. And of course, we may be not even mentioning certain things, but just those elements alone.
Correct.
It's a lot. And to be able to show up, you're trying to show up for customers.
Yep.
When you do show up, be the best that you can. Of course, some customers are going to be understanding, but you could physically be in a place, but mentally be somewhere else.
Absolutely.
So what was that like, trying to balance? How did you what was your balance still trying to show up, even though you had so much going on at home?
It was tough. It was tough. It was definitely a one day at a time. It was definitely a one day, sometimes one hour at a time. It was hard. It was difficult. Thank God for great friends, people who understood, people who, that's one thing about when you're in the hair industry and you have consistent clients. Just like you witness parts to their life, they also witness a lot of parts to your life. You watch their children grow up. You watch them lose their moms. My clients got to witness every single part of my life as well. And, you almost become a family. And like I said, you have those supportive clients who, you need any food, you want me to take anything of it. You have your ones that's really real. You meet all kind of people in this business, like any business. You meet people who are all about themselves, but you also meet a lot of genuine good people. And I was blessed to have that. I can honestly say I had to just take one day at a time. There's no magic. There's no aha moments. Honestly, it's just one day at a time. Lots of prayers, lots of praying, listening to positive vibes, and just kind of trying my best to, even now, I try to get to the point where there is self-care. Just sometimes I have to take a time out to force myself, because it's easy to get caught in a routine, but I have to force myself to, like, you know what, Trish, go get your nails done. Step out a little bit more. Now I only have Amanda. So it's kind of like, okay, Amanda, she's high functioning, and just taking those moments and not even have guilt behind it. Like, it's okay to go on a trip with a friend or go out to eat, and that was a process. That was not overnight. Just maintaining is a process, taking one day at a time. And that's why I guess, to each his own, but sometimes working even in corporate for a little while, it's really odd. You come across people who don't show up and don't show up for work and don't show up for clients. And I don't get it. I'm sorry. I just don't get it. And I cannot relate. And when they come up with these excuses, I'm like, oh man, because, I have a story, and people have real stories, and they show up. So I'm beginning to think that's a superpower. Just to be able
It
to,
is.
not bring your emotions into your workplace and not put all your business out there. And I just so happen to work in a field where people come to me to feel good. People come to me to relax and release and be away from home and the problems that they have, and to get away from their kids, and they're off work, and they want to feel good. They're relaxing in my space. So I have to put my stuff on the back burner to make sure that they get the greatest customer service. They don't need to feel my energy crossing over into them, especially with me dealing with the head. I always felt that, like, come on now, you got to have good energy. And so therefore, there's been times I would actually pray before I came to work, on the way to work, before the person can be in my chair and they don't even know that I'm asking God to put me in a particular place mentally so that I can do their hair, and nothing that I am going through even transfers into that moment. And I think that has helped me as well. Just being determined to not let my past, the things I've gone through, and things of that nature, make me bitter or sad or self-consumed. And every day is not the same. But I just so happen to have been gifted with a gift of customer service, of people, of love, of passion. And so therefore, those things I cannot allow to steal my gift or, damage my gift with my own personal things, so yeah. And talking to others, of course.
Yeah.
I don't hold it all in. I've been blessed with some amazing kids that I can talk to as well, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
now. No, but a lot of stuff, because energy is important. I feel like that's what you were getting at. It transfers. And we've all, whether it's at the hair salon or different places, we've all been around people where it's like, just them, what they're carrying is
Yes.
contagious, to where it's like, oh, I feel like I have an attitude now. That put me in a bad mood because they came in here with their energy, or just people have a lot of weird stuff going on. And you do have to be careful, especially with who's in your head and things like that. But yeah, I think just your story just shows even more just how strong mompreneurs are, single mom and entrepreneurs are. It takes a lot, because you're still raising your kid or kids. And some people, it may not even be, because we have different scenarios to where it may not be biologically your kids, but you may be taking in family members and all sorts of scenarios now to where you're a mom in my mind. So it's just like, it takes a lot to keep going, because you also have some moms, which I don't think we talked about today, but you have that perspective of some people feel they may have like mom guilt, to where I feel like I hear a lot of scenarios now where some people feel like, yeah, my mom was never really home. Like, instead of it being the dad, I feel like we've heard of that before, but it's like, yeah, I feel like my mom chose her career over, really being home, or I don't really have many memories with my mom, or she's always on the call. She always has to fly out and do these things. And I feel like with moms, it's hard because sometimes you do carry a sense of guilt of, wow, if I go get to the bag, which is for the good of all of us, am I missing out on games? Am I missing out on moments? Am I able to help the kids with homework? Because you can have a village, right? In the sense of, oh, the kids could go to a babysitter or whatever. So they're safe, but you're not there. So do you relate, or have you ever felt that before, where you feel like, oh, wow, I missed out on some things, or you knew like the risk of like, okay, if I fully dive into it, these are the pros and cons?
Well, I did not. I did not go through the guilt with that, but I did go through a guilt with being so young and certain decisions that I made at the time. And then realizing I was a child myself. And a lot of parents are just trying to, depending on when they had their children, it's tough. There is no right answer. There is no right or wrong. Every household is different. And if you look for a problem, you can find a problem. No one's going to be perfect, not even parents, and that would be my thing. I would like to leave with parents, and especially entrepreneur parents. People have to make choices, because then if you were the parent that stayed home and stayed broke, then your kid's not going to say, hey, I'm glad my mom stayed home and stayed broke because she was with me all day and we was together every day and she cooked every day. Nah, they're going to say, I wish we could have had more. I wish my family could have took me on trips. I wish my mom and dad could have did this and that and the other. There are parents that work 2 jobs. They work 2 full jobs just to pay mortgage, car payments, put nice clothes on their children back, probably paying student loans off too, still at 45 and 50. And I mean, it's like, at some point, we all just kind of doing the best we can. We had to figure out how to build and be a parent and pay bills and stay sane and learn, because there's no manuals to what's wrong and what's not, and how to be the perfect parent, and what does that look like. I can honestly say, everyone questions, did I do it right? With you all, I did get to, I was the ball parent. I was the one that I'm going to make it to games, even if it's in the middle of the game. I'm coming to, and you're not going to, I didn't feel like you all were kind of neglected in that way. Did I do everything perfect? Nope, absolutely not. But from what I can tell, between teaching you all how to be business minded, if you want something, you have to go get it. Instead of handing you everything, that I would make you get it for yourselves. Just like, even your brothers, you got, sneakers, you got all these styles that come out, and the children want those styles. And even if I had the money, I'm not doing it. I was that parent. Like, I'm not paying $80 for no jeans. For what? No. And what does that do? That make them go get their job and buy them some $80 jeans. Now somebody else might say, no, I'm gonna give my children everything that I didn't have. My goal was to make sure that my children knew I love them. That's the difference. It just depends on what it is your thing. I think all parents have their thing, and it may be based on whatever they went through in their own lives. If they grew up in a house where it was 8 children in 2 bedrooms, then their goals may have been different for their children. They wanted to make sure that their children never had to share a bedroom. Their children never had to share a bed. So the vision is different. So then if you accomplish that, don't you feel guilty because you felt like that was the way to get that, is to go to work and work overtime. Now, of course, we have to make sure that we include our children in our path and things of that nature. And this, we got to show up for something. But I don't have that particular regret. I went to a lot of talent shows. I went to a lot of basketball games. I was loud too, and maybe got put out 1 or 2. But yeah,
That's funny.
That wasn't my thing. I think my guilt was making, I was super young. So certain things I would definitely do different at a later age. I had my season of enjoying myself. So,
I'm like, what are we talking about?
I would just kind of be a little bit more, I grew up with y'all a little bit, I would say. I went out, I went with my friends. You know what? Then again, what I started thinking?
Lived her life.
I was living life. But at the same time, I'm thinking, I was like, wow, good thing I did, because I had no idea that midway through life that I'd be a caregiver for 14 straight years. Imagine if I had not.
How many years?
14.
That's crazy. You don't know what's ahead, but it is good that you lived life the way on your terms.
Yeah.
With kids, with the odds stacked up against you, whatever people may say. But it's like, if we knew what was ahead, what would we do differently? So I feel like I think you enjoyed yourself, and we were able to have fun as a unit, as far as me, my brothers, you, like, our small unit before you become a caregiver, because the flip side to that is when you're a mom. Well, technically, we all kind of become caregivers because we all pitch in, but it's like sharing your mom too with people. Yeah. It's like, it's like you don't really have a regular life anymore because the day-to-day changes. It's taking people to doctor's appointments and things like that, or, getting random calls like, hey, your grandmother has left the house and she's 10 blocks away trying to make it to church. It's like, okay, things were really serious and things changed. The dynamics changed. So,
for sure.
It just speaks a lot to who you are and where you are and what kind of mindset you have, and you always kept going. But I guess lastly, as we kind of wrap this up, I want to know, what are you most proud of?
My children. Absolutely. Hands down.
Hey, I heard it.
Absolutely, hands down, my children, and now, so it's really crazy, because even though, everybody's adults now, I think as an entrepreneur, your mission changes. And so my mission now is still not about myself. It's my grandchildren. And, but the difference is that I get help with that through you all. So now they're looking at, everybody's an entrepreneur. Everybody's working hard. Everybody's going to get it. And so hopefully with everybody working as a unit, it's not just me anymore. It's not just me going out here and me being an entrepreneur. Now I came with backup, because now I have myself, I have Diamond, I have Keon, I have Atarius. So now it's even more of us that's been created from, it started with me, and now I have 3 children, and now my 3 children, and now it goes to the grands, that we can make their lives better. Like, a lot of us as parents didn't have a silver spoon. We didn't have a head start. We didn't have a gift fund. We came with the bare minimum, and we had to make it work. So now my grandchildren get to come, and they don't have to go through a lot of the things that I went through. They don't have to be on welfare. They don't have to stand in government lines. They don't have to. Now, if they choose to, that's on them, but they don't have to. So it's like, definitely my children are the proudest moment of my life, hands down. I also want to say that for everyone who is out there and they're single parent, I'm going to say single parent because I know there are dads who are killing the game, and they're single as well. They're single dad parents and they're single mother parents. And so I just want to say that there is no statistic out there that you have to follow. There's no such thing. And I know people want to believe that if you came up in a single parent household, this is the result of what you'll get. This is the outcome. This is how the children look. This is what it's going to look like. This is the generational curse that's so untrue. That is so very untrue. One thing about life, you may not be able to control the outside world, social media, but like I always say, the one thing you can control is your house. You can control your house. You can make sure your children are educated. You can make sure your children are exposed. You can make sure that they see your grind and they understand that life is not easy, but if you work hard, then you can succeed. You can have if you work hard and you stay consistent. Consistency wins the game. Consistency. No person is necessarily any smarter than the other person, but it's just about consistency and grind. And, but I hate that people have that perception that your household is less than because you're a single parent. And because sometimes just because I was the only mom in the house don't mean I didn't have a community. Community can be neighbors, relatives, teachers, pastors. We have a community. So don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't let social media pride make you bigger than you are. You don't have to, there's nothing to prove. You need help, ask for help. It does completely take a village for sure, but you can do it. You definitely can do it.
Hey, y'all heard it. So anyone listening, for anyone listening, I really hope you all enjoyed this conversation. I know that I did. I think it's just really good to hear that perspective from a single mom, from a mompreneur, someone that has been doing this for a long time, and just really getting that firsthand perspective of what it was like. Some things are unexpected. You don't see it coming. It's not in the plans, right? And some things it's like, okay, how do I set myself up for success? How do I still find time to have self-care and take care of myself? Because if mom's down, the whole house is down technically, not just from a financial standpoint, but from the energy that, the house is filled with. So I definitely took a lot away from this conversation. I'm not a mom, but I guess I'm tied to it from being a child of a single mompreneur. So I always have, just so much compassion for what you all go through. Everyone's story isn't identical, but I do think, there may be some common kind of things within everyone's story. But I'm just so happy that, you're just sharing this stuff with us all, Mom. I definitely appreciate you for coming on. And I'll definitely make sure to include some information in the show notes for you all if you want to follow my mom and see all the things that she's up to. She's really starting to really create a community for caregivers because why not, right? You've been doing it for so long. So that's something kind of new. But is there anything you want to leave everyone with, whether it's, social medias or just what you're up to or just whatever you want, Mom?
Awesome. Okay, so I'm definitely going to keep you all connected. I do have a Facebook page, Catherine's Heart Caregiving page. And it's just a page about expressing and people that's going through situations and just sharing with others and expressing our feelings and our emotions and hopefully learning from each other as far as caregiving is concerned. It's an amazing page. And also, I'm going to be speaking soon in October, and I'll also keep you posted on that. Diamond will probably tag it on her page. Here in Rocky Mount, North Carolina, we do have an event coming up about domestic violence. So I got my hands in a little bit of this and a little bit of that, but you'll definitely be seeing me. And thank you so much. Thank you so much for this platform, Diamond.
Of course. All right, you guys, we're going to go ahead and end this podcast, but please make sure just to support Black Directory. If you're not in the app yet, please join. What are you waiting for? We want to make sure that Black businesses are represented everywhere across all industries. So if you haven't checked us out, please do that. You could check us out at blackdirectory.com, and we're also in both of the iOS and Android app stores. So be sure to do that. Also, you can follow us. We're pretty much on all social media platforms aside from like Pinterest, I think. But definitely follow us on TikTok. We're having a lot of fun over there these days. And I will catch you all in the next episode. All right. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for spending some time with us. Enjoying the show? Be sure to subscribe and leave us a rating and review. Interested in connecting with Black-owned businesses and joining the family? We got you covered. Download Black Directory in both the iOS and Android app stores. Until next time.